What's happening? How we doing?
Fantastic.
We
Hello
good?
again.
Aloha.
You know, every time I walk into the recording studio, I feel like I need to wear sunglasses. It's so bright in here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's sun's out, dude.
It wouldn't matter what glasses you wear because you still can't see.
Fair enough. But it is bright in here. And you know what else it is? It's the first day in the office after a storm.
It is.
It is. You know what we're going to talk about today? The day after a storm.
Yeah.
Give you a little sleep.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice.
Is that nice? It's a good, you know, people in their car right now, they could like hear that like vibrating on the loose body panels on the doors. It's like, you know, turned up real loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad.
I need you to just
Yeah.
I actually thought it was Jason doing that.
just turn your speaker over for me real quick.
Right. Oh my gosh. All right. So here we are talking Winter with Swinter. I am Ken Bogeman, Jason Dungan, Adam Hunter, Brent Reeder. We're all sitting here. Nicole's here today. Hi. There she is, off there in the corner working, keeping the lights on around here that Jason, is so
Literally
upset about.
keeping them on really brightly.
Right. Yeah. Nicole really likes like a bright room, which is weird because, I mean, I am not an attractive man. I would want the room as dark as possible if we're in the same room with me, but that's fine. It's fine. So here we are. Yeah. We're going to talk about the after storm because it snowed a little bit on Friday. And you know what else? You know what else we should talk about? Maybe, you know what? Man, this could be a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
A whole nother topic.
For sure.
Could be prediction for forecast is A, and what you actually get is like W, X, Y, or Z. Right. Like, because we had that going Friday too, which was exciting.
Yeah.
So, what? All right. So let's pick one. What do we want to start with? Do we want to start with how to handle a forecast that goes bad?
Let's talk about that one. I think that one's better.
How forecast that goes bad?
Yeah.
I think that could be good.
I think
All right.
that could be good too.
That could be like 6 shows.
It could be, but it's just gonna be. I'm gonna go one bad forecast.
Yes.
I'm writing it down.
Not just bad.
Yeah, missed the boat.
Like way wrong.
Like it's one thing if the prediction is for 5-6 inches of snow and you get a dusting. Okay, while that's expensive because you had to stage a bunch of equipment and you didn't get to make as much money, at least you didn't fail.
Right.
But I think to me the worst one is when you're predicted 1.5 inches of snow. Ground temperature's warm, air temperature's warm.
1.5 inches of snow maybe on grassy surfaces.
Yeah, and might get wet pavements.
Mm-hmm.
Elevated parking structures might get a little slushy accumulation. No big deal. And then you wind up with 6 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a surprise 6 inches. I don't care who you are. Right? What?
For sure.
No, not very many people.
No, I mean it's certainly. I mean, I guess if given the choice, you'd rather have a surprise 6 inches than a surprise foot.
Yeah.
Which happened to some people too.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the storm that came through here was supposed to drop about inch and a half. The official forecast was traced to 3. We're going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But the as it moved on over to Ohio, it's kind of the same thing. We're forecasted 1.5 inches to 2, and they want to get in 10 to 12 inches.
Yeah. Ohio Valley got really smacked.
Yep. Man, smacked.
I would be
Getting
interested.
smacked with a surprise 6 inches. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yes.
What? Dude, you got that look on your face like there's
No.
something, like there's some other meaning to that. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, there could
If
be
it had
for
been
sure.
a little bit later just 3 weeks later, it would have that getting smacked by that surprise 6 inches would have hindered mushroom hunting.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, which would have been a crabby time for everybody. But, all right. Okay. So let's talk about that. So, all right. So in the snow biz, right, what you see is you've got a couple different kinds of contractors, right? You've got the ones that are like, oh, they're forecasting a trace of snow, right? Trace of snow at 37 degrees. And those guys get out there and they stage every piece of equipment. They've got all their material ready to go. They've polished everything. It's cleaned. It's fueled. It's on site. It's ready to go. And by God, they're ready for anything, right? And then you've got the other side of that category, right? Like, oh, I'm not even gonna have to show up. So they're drunk. They're probably, half their guys don't even know it's going to snow because the owner didn't bother saying anything because it's going to be a tiny little event. And then when things change, it's a giant problem.
Yeah, it's a huge reaction instead of what should have been a lot of proactive
preparation.
Right. So okay. So if you're listening to this and you're in any of the categories, right? So you may be a more of a frontline players, and you've got subcontractors that are working for you. You might be a subcontractor that does work for somebody else. Maybe you're just self-performing your own stuff, whatever it is. Okay, we're going to start with a tip here right now. And if the rest of the time you listen to this show, you come out, you don't take anything away from it, this is what I think you would. If you don't already know this, pay attention. If a forecast is calling for a trace to 3 inches of snow, what that means is they have no idea what's going to happen.
Yep.
A trace to 3 inches or a trace to 2 inches, or anytime there's trace to any other amount, what that means is that forecast models do not align. It means that whatever meteorological service it is that you're looking at does not have a good solid handle on what's going to happen. The confidence in the forecast is low, and it could be a trace, or it could be 3 or 5 or 6 inches. Who knows? It means that there is most definitely other things in play there, right?
Yep.
And so when you see that kind of thing, you have to understand what you're looking at, which means you're generally not going to see that kind of forecast from like weather.com or Weather Underground or something like that. What you're going to see there is you're going to see 1 to 3, or you're going to see who knows what. What?
I need that paper over there.
This one over here? Okay. Yeah. So there you go.
Because I'm curious.
Yeah.
With everybody that's nationwide, what they use for weather services. So maybe listeners out there, whether they're in Michigan or Pennsylvania or Maine or whatever, they ought to give us a shout out and let us know so we could talk about it again on another one. And you can call us at 314-260-4352 because we'd love to get your feedback on that and see if it's working out for you, or if you're running into the same issues that we're having from time to time. It's not every time, but
yeah, well,
occasionally.
And I think that one of the things that is important is if you're not using any type of paid private meteorological service, you ought to look into that. I mean, there is a lot. There are several companies out there that provide private meteorological services, and it's not very expensive. I mean, some of them might be $300, $400, $500 for the year.
Yeah, and a reason for that is, and Ken, you're probably familiar with this too, in aviation related stuff. Most of your open source meteorological information. Jesus, that word.
Try that again, dude. Try that one more time.
I haven't even had anything to drink yet. They're based off of an area as opposed to a point. And the difference of that is an area could be 500 to 750 miles, whereas a point forecast is typically less than 50.
Well, and the other thing that you have is if you're using like weather.com on your phone, right? Or your Weather Underground or something like that, for the most part, and it's not all of them, but the vast majority of those forecast services are taking averages of forecast models, right? So there's a few very popular, more accurate forecast models, and then there's hundreds of other ones out there that are dozens for sure, maybe hundreds. I'm not a meteorologist, but nonetheless, when you look at online sources, most of those online sources are giving you kind of an average of what's out there, which is why when it says trace to 4 inches, it means that the map is those models are all over the board.
Right.
When you have a private meteorological service, and there's a bunch of them out there, that's when you get into the world of a human being looks at that same data and then does an interpretation of it and gives you their best estimate as to what's going to happen, not just based on what the models say, but based on what are historical averages and model trends. Like if you're in the Midwest, like particularly in St. Louis, there's not an atmospheric sample that gets taken like from a weather balloon.
Right.
The closest one to here, I think, is in Springfield, Missouri. We're talking 4 hour drive from here
and south of here, which is really important to note.
Yeah. So if a storm comes down from the north, you don't have good upper atmospheric sampling. You have some commercial aircraft will gather information as they're climbing out from the airport, but there's not a ton of really good information that's available. Right. And so what happens is a lot of the forecasts are based on models, and then not just the models, but then you have to understand, okay, well, models generally overestimate or underestimate based on these climatological conditions. And so that's where the meteorologist comes into play.
Yeah.
And so, so that's something that you gotta kind of understand what you're looking at. But most importantly, man, my God, be ready. Don't be the one that says, I'm only going to get an inch of snow. We're not going to have to even work. Just be ready.
Or worse yet, don't be the one that says, well, we're probably just going to do a little pre-treatment or a little de-icing. I'm not even going to bother to hang my plow.
Right.
And my plows are 45 minutes from my work location. I won't need them.
Well, and when your plows are 45 minutes from where you're working, when the roads are clear.
Yeah.
Because here's another thing that happens. When you have a day where the forecast is generally for, like Friday, forecast generally for 1.5 inches of snow, maybe 2, most of it's going to melt, not going to be a big deal. Everybody goes to work.
Yep.
Everybody goes to work. Everybody's out. Everybody's there ready to go. And then what happens is when it starts to get bad and you realize, oh, crap, I got to go get my plow. That's the same time all of the people that really shouldn't be driving in the snow, they all decide they got to run home right now.
Right.
Because they don't want to be caught in it when it gets worse. So now they're all trying to get home. You're trying to get to your plow. Your customers are calling and screaming at you. Like it's the worst of all possible scenarios. So, it just doesn't take that much time to hang a plow. Does anybody, does anybody understand like why wouldn't you come out with a plow?
Guys don't like to drive around with it on.
Yeah. I can tell you for sure when I was, excuse me, I just can't keep my throat clear. When I would,
you get a surprise 6 inches.
Nope.
Okay.
No, that's for sure. Jason, maybe.
I think
Say
just saying,
meteorologist.
he got slapped with it.
You might have been. Oh, okay. Got it.
No, there were times where, you'd get that email or whatever your communication is, and it's like, hey, we don't know what we're going to get, but be prepared anyways, and maybe you have a little lot, and you don't want to have that plow on there, and I get that. And so if you're running a pretty tight route, whether you have 2, 3 accounts, maybe you have 10 or you have a big lot, take your plow with you if you're 30 minutes from your house or wherever you're at, your business. They're not that difficult. Take it off.
Oh, and leave it at the site.
Leave it at the site.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your worst case, best case scenario to where. But I'm amazed at so many people that are just like, nope, yes plow, no plow.
Well, and now, and I don't think all manufacturers do it, but I'm pretty sure all of the Douglas Dynamics brands now have their what's called Fleet Flex or Fleet Lock or whatever.
Fleet Flex.
Fleet Flex, yeah. So you have to enter a code on the controller to be able to use the plow.
Shout out Douglas Dynamics.
There you go. Yeah.
We don't get like a special little
It'd be cool if we did.
noise for that.
We don't.
I mean, you're right.
Brought to you by your sponsor.
At Douglas Dynamics. All right, quick round the room. Best Douglas Dynamics brand. What do you think?
Western.
Jason? Western?
Western.
You guys.
What about you, Ken?
I would say the only catch to that is I really like the Fisher's trip edge on all their plows. That's the one part where I think Western fails.
So I thought I was a born and bred red-blooded Western guy until we became a Fisher dealer, and man, Fisher's got it hands down for me.
He just sold out. That's all it was.
No, listen. I will tell you this: they're all 3 brands, or I think 4 now, under Douglas Dynamics.
More than that in there. Fisher, SnowX, Western, Henderson, because they bought Henderson, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going. Sorry.
Well, they had Blizzard, but they basically just dissolved it and started
Turned it into SnowX. Yeah.
turned it into SnowX. But all of those are really, really good. It's all really good equipment.
Yeah, I can tell you the Fisher stuff though has been pretty damn nice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and I mean the XV2 over the XLS is just hands down, right?
100%.
Yeah, that's
No, I gotta turn them off. No, it's fine.
I just think it's got something to do with the name because you like fishing, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna go with Fisher.
That's true. That's true. But no, man. So we're talking about
Bad forecast.
I'm trying to keep it on track here. So you're out and about, you're running around, and you've got equipment that you don't want to go home and get or go back to the shop and get. That's a great point. I mean, you can just drop your plows on site somewhere, chain them to a light pole if you're concerned about somebody stealing them. But yeah, I mean, if you can get them somewhere close so you don't get caught with your pants down when something like this happens.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing is communicate to your staff. Hey guys, there's a snowstorm coming. Don't know if we're going to need you or not, but we very well may.
Right.
We had guys that said that their crews didn't know it was even going to snow. Oops. Had to get guys moving. I mean,
See, that's the problem sometimes with communication. That's why I like the SG Advantage, because it sends you a text, sends you an email, and it's like, boom, everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
It works.
This is true.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. We need to say shameless plug sounds. What do we have for that before?
It's that fairy.
You
Is
have
it that one? Shameless plug. Shameless
Boom,
plug.
boom.
SG Advantage. Yeah. Yeah, but no, man. I mean, like, that's something where, at the end of the day, when you're hired to be the snow removal vendor, there's some leniency from your customers when you say, man, the forecast was for ABC and we got XYZ. Okay, people get that. Okay, fine. The trick is if your customer understands the business, and if your customer knows, look, idiot, the forecast was traced to 3, you knew this was possible.
Right.
No, I didn't know this was possible. Okay, now you look like the idiot.
Yep.
If you're in a scenario where where your customer knows as much or more than you about what you've been hired to do, that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so at that point, you need to at least pay attention to what's going on and do the very best you can not to look like an idiot.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
That's hard for Brent sometimes, but we're with you. We're
To
still with
agree or not look like an idiot.
you. Well, it's Brent. Look at him.
He's a damn good looking dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Of the 4 of us, I think he's the looker. What?
You know what? Hey,
Nothing?
he just had a birthday. How old are you?
39.
Happy birthday.
Just this past week.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you feel 39 or do you feel like 35 or do you feel like 45?
I don't even know how to put an age to how I feel. It depends on the day.
Well,
That's fair.
did you enjoy your day off? What'd you do? Did you have a good time or what?
My day off.
Yeah, you were off Friday for your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. About that.
I wish.
About that.
It always snows on my birthday.
Yep.
It's true.
How many years in a row have you missed your birthday off because of snow events?
All.
You might as well have been born on leap year.
Yeah, I don't think you missed it last year. Or were we in Nebraska last year?
We went to Nebraska.
We were in Nebraska last
That
year.
was optional.
No,
I'll give that.
it was optional, but nonetheless, he still was plowing snow on his birthday.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's kind of my fault. My wife asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I said I wanted to plow snow.
Bam! Got it. Just like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's it.
Thanks.
So kind of getting back on track here, we're talking about the private meteorologists
Yeah.
versus the what I'll call open source / internet
Freebies.
freebies. We have a guy locally here we'll call him locally famous, who's really, really good. And he has a motto that forecast first and then look at the models. See what the models are telling you.
Oh, you're talking about Dave.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you go back and look at his Facebook posts, he was pretty close.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I like having a wide range of forecasts out there, but if I really, really want to get a good gut feeling, I'll turn to him mostly. Now, not everybody has that, clearly, right? But I think in this day and age of computer systems being what runs the nation and what runs our lives, some of the, I don't want to call them younger, but new age type meteorologists, I think they are computer model driven, and if the computer model doesn't tell them that, then they're not going to go against what the computer models are telling them.
Well, and I think there's something to be said for there's another guy, one of our private meteorologists that works with us, that his big deal is looking at the trends on what models tend to over or under produce.
Yep.
Versus what actually happens based on the proximity to actual sample stations, right? So those are the kind of things that you can't get that in. You can't make a prediction based on historical averages if you don't have that experience, if you don't have that knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's some other private meteorologists that we work with that are not based in St. Louis. And so when it's interesting how the difference in the forecast between guys that are local and service providers that aren't local, because the ones that aren't local may differ a little bit from your open source type forecasts, but they're not going to have the depth of knowledge that the local guys have.
Right.
So that's something where as you're shopping for private meteorological services. If you can find somebody local that really understands the local area,
Right.
man, that's really, really, really handy to have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good for our audience to kind of, talk about how you react to that. Oh crap, the forecast was wrong. This is way different.
Yeah. So okay. So to that, good segue. Some of the things that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to keep an eye on what's happening in real time, right? So like when you start to notice, okay, it's we're getting hammered with weather right now, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Recognize when to switch. Like if you're thinking it's going to be a de-icing event, and it's clearly not going to be, know to make that change earlier. Right. Don't, because time is so important, because you only have so much time to get things cleared up by the next rush. And man, if you waste an hour and you don't have your stuff right there and you got to go drive an hour to get it, drive an hour to come back, you're 3 hours behind the game. That's damn near half a day.
Yeah.
When it comes to, the workday time frame.
Yeah. And everybody has the ability to look at, let's say the National Weather Service and all the different radar stations they have around the country, kind of track which way the storm is moving as it approaches you. And then a lot of states, the Department of Transportation allows you to view traffic cams from all over the state. So what I have learned over the past few storms that we've had is kind of look at that radar track of where the storm's coming from and then get as close as you can with traffic cameras out that way and see what it's really going to be when it gets to you.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes that's different. Sometimes the storm slows down.
And other times you can find the traffic cam, which is a couple 100 feet in front of where your wife is stuck in traffic.
Yes. Yeah. For 6 hours.
For 6 hours. Did she kill her son? Like, is he alive?
He's alive only because he was stuck for 12 hours. There was a 40-car pileup that involved 2 jackknifed 18-wheelers. The interstate was closed for 12 hours.
Wow. That's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I feel sorry for the guy.
Well, I called it even.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was bringing his new girlback home to meet the family too, right?
Yeah. So
just imagine if you were able to
since you pushed me
tell
into
him,
it,
warn him a little bit.
Since you pushed me into it, I'll back up the story a little bit. So my stepson was excited to come home this past weekend. He's a college student. I don't know, 2.5 hours away at Mizzou, and 2 hours, and he was so excited to bring his girlfriend down to meet everybody, and I had told his mom. My wife, I told her, tell him not to come on Friday. And so she did. And so then later that day, later on Friday, I called him and I said, dude, I know you want to come, but today's not the day, man. Just wait until tomorrow morning. Everything will be fine tomorrow morning. No. I'm experienced. He's, by the way, he's 22 years old. So not super experienced.
He knows everything.
Right.
Yeah. Knows everything. I'm just going to wait till the snow stops, and by then the roads will be clear. And so I sent him pictures of the traffic cams showing snow-covered interstates. I'm like, dude, do not come. That was the last thing I heard until about 10 minutes after 5, when my wife texted me and said, oh, by the way, he's off in a ditch. So he had started home, ran into the closed interstate. GPS took him on a wildly roundabout, back roads, country roads type detour, which, of course, if the interstate's not good, side roads, country roads are certainly going to still be snow covered.
Oh, yeah. Brent, did you go when we went up to Des Moines? This might have been before you were around. We went up to Des Moines to help out up there.
I have not been there.
Oh, okay. Same kind of deal GPS took on back roads. Dude, if we didn't, having the plows hanging on the front of the truck was a big deal because we were driving through 6, 8, 10-foot drifts on the highway. It was, not the highway, the tiny little side road. Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So long story short, he finally gets a good Samaritan to get in the car with him and show him how to rock it back and forth.
Oh,
but he's experienced. Doesn't he know how to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
So they work their way back to the interstate. By this time, and he calls my wife and tells her, okay, I'm moving now. So she's like, fine, I'll just turn around at the next exit. Well, then she sat on the interstate for 6 hours before she could get to the next exit.
Motherly love.
Yeah. And so I got home about 6:30 Saturday morning. He was about 20 minutes behind me. He had left Mizzou. At 2:30 the previous afternoon.
Whew.
I think I would have went to Waffle House.
Uh-huh.
Well, no, he was stuck.
You know what's funny? You know where I went to breakfast
I would walk there.
So, damn it, Nicole. Was it It was Sunday morning we went to. Yeah, Sunday morning we went to Waffle House. God, Waffle House
I love
is so
Waffle
good.
House.
It's so good. Did you guys know that Waffle House, like district managers, make pretty good dough?
Yeah.
Like if you've had enough
That's
of
why
this,
the waffles are really good.
Yeah.
you know, I don't get the waffles. Waffles aren't.
No, scattered, smothered, peppered,
It's the hash
diced,
browns.
chopped,
It's
whatever.
all about the hash browns at Waffle
They have
House.
to be
Covered.
crispy just enough.
Brent, have you? Yeah, you've been to Waffle House, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, they screwed up one time and they brought me a like hash, like imagine a slinger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of chili, they put gravy on it. And she showed up and she's like, you know, I think I might have gotten this wrong. Did you want chili or gravy? And I looked at it and went, you know what? I'm going to go with the gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was awful tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So
No, you're done.
The next day, after I'd had a couple hours of sleep, I woke up and I heard them pattering around in the kitchen. And I went out to them and I'm like, "Hey, dude, you ever seen those insurance commercial for farmers?" He's like, "Wait, like we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two." I was like, "I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two."
And you made a bad choice.
He's like, "I get it.
You got to see all 6 inches. That was not predicted.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
all day long, that's all he heard on Saturday. All day long, he
Yep.
heard what a bad choice he'd made.
Is he? You want to call him? We can put him on the air.
Nah, he
No.
won't. He won't answer me right now.
That's fair. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, these are all things that happen when the forecast is wrong, man.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. I'm trying to think what. So we had some guys with heavy equipment that didn't get staged.
Well, I would tell you that even Department of Transportation was behind the power curve
Oh,
because they weren't prepared for it either.
Yeah. No, everybody was. I mean, and that's so. I mean, you get some leniency there, and that again, the forecast didn't call for that, quote unquote,
Right.
is viable to a point, but you still have to understand that you've got a job to do,
Yeah.
and so you have to get the job done still, and so there's things that you can do to make things better. So okay, we talked about having equipment on site. That's great. That's certainly something you could do. So let's give these guys, even, if you're listening, you've been hanging out for 28 minutes and 12 seconds. Let's give some tips and tricks here, fellas.
Yeah.
So, keep your plows close if you can. If you got to chain them up or do whatever you got to do, that's fine. Something else you can do is figure out the area that you're going to be working in and be prepared with if you have to drive a long way to get to where you're working, be prepared with a hotel somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
So, so it's something where if you wind up with a massive storm and you can't get home or whatever, and you need to get some rest before you go back out, if you can't sleep in the truck, then, be ready with somewhere to go, have a contingency plan for your crews so they can stay warm, so they can get some rest.
Yeah.
Right. Be prepared with your manpower. Make sure everybody knows what's happening. Everybody knows what's going on. In the days prior, say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to need you, but are you available if I do? And if they say no and nobody's available, okay, well, you might have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to identify that problem way ahead of the game, right?
Yeah. I think maybe the better approach would be, we have an event coming. I'm not sure what it's going to do. Be ready if I call you.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying if you're going to have a manpower problem,
Yeah.
that's something you want to know before
Right.
it happens.
Right.
So some other things that you can do is you want to make sure that if you have, let's say you got a mutiny, right? And you've got 35 guys and one of your walks crew says, I'm leaving, I'm out. Okay. Make sure that you're using something to track what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So what was done and what wasn't done. And you can then go back and rely on those guys to see what needs to come up, what else needs to be done. So if a crew bails on you, okay, go back and look and be like, okay, well, what was it that they did? And go back and double check that work to make sure. Now, ready? Shameless plug. You ready?
Shameless plug.
Here it is. So that's something that, SG Advantage allows your subcontractors to do that as well. So like if you're a subscriber and you've got subs or you're performing, your own work in house, there's work orders that you can go back and see who was on what project, who did what work.
Absolutely.
And go back. And if they wind up, just, disappearing on you, okay, well, what work was done by these guys?
Right.
You build those routes, you give it to, Ted and Larry and Joe, and that crew bailed. Okay, well, that crew did these jobs. I ought to go back and take a look at it and make sure.
Right.
So having the tools available to be able to monitor what you're doing and how you do it is a big deal, and that's part of the system software there.
And many other features available, and as a somebody who's kind of overseeing a storm, there are some features that are available that you can look at a glance and see how many times a property's been serviced compared to other properties in that area, or if a property in that area has been serviced at all compared to other properties in that area.
Yeah. Well,
and it's really, really, really advantageous.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into another thing when the Milorganite hits the prop and you find yourself having to do much more work than you thought that maybe you're going to need to.
Yeah.
Having the ability to go property by property and make sure that nothing was missed.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
We found this morning there was not, this didn't happen to us because this kind of thing would never happen in our operation.
No.
But we heard of a company
Yeah.
that had one of their subcontractors just didn't do the work. There was they didn't have work orders. They didn't do the work. There was zero proactive effort made on their part.
No materials used.
And from the management side, the management evidently didn't look and see how many times properties were serviced, and it just wound up not getting done. It got missed.
Yeah.
So, even if you have a good system in place, this is where I'm kind of leading to. Training your staff on how to use that system is a big, big, big deal.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can have the greatest system ever developed with SG
Shameless
Advantage.
plug for SG Advantage.
There you go. If you've got the best system ever developed, if you don't use it properly, it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what do you guys got? Other tips, tricks, suggestions for when, oh my gosh, oops, we got more snow than we thought?
One of the main things is, whether you get a lot of snow or you don't, just making sure your equipment's running. Yeah, it was running last week with the storm before, but, check the spreader, check the plow controls, make sure, just simple things, make sure the truck's good, those basic preparations. And that could be in a whole nother podcast talking about, safety and going through that. But,
Yeah.
I mean, some of that stuff's just
And we've done
basic
some
knowledge.
of that.
Yeah. Equipment maintenance stuff. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else got anything else?
Go ahead, Brent.
God, what did we call him? We had an alter ego for Brent. Bert! It was Bert! Wasn't it? Was it Bert?
I don't know.
I think it was Bert.
I tell you what, the dude's strong, man. What was that cap he undid?
Oh.
It's harder than a pickle.
Bitters.
jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pickle jars are easy.
Yeah.
There's a pickle joke in there. I'm just going to let go.
Yeah.
It's fine. All right. So, Jason, got anything else?
No, I think we just about covered it.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Good times. Well, then you know what we're going to do? I think we're going to call this one good.
Bye. See you next week.
later.
So, yeah. That's it. Hopefully the forecast is always what it should be, but since it never really is, be ready for the unknown.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, from the Swinter Group Studios here in St. Louis, Missouri, I'm Ken Bogeman.
Jason Duncan.
Jason, I was going to get all your names mixed up, but it's fine. Jason Duncan, Adam Hart.
Hunter.
Hart's better. Adam Hunter, Brent Reeder, who also goes by Bert.
We put the S in winter.
There it is.
Swinter.
Yeah. All right. Good to talk to y'all. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.